Hey, if you think we're not, the other side is nuts, maybe pause and ask yourself why. Somewhere in the noise, there's still a signal. If tonight made you think, made you laugh, or made you mad, drop a comment. That's how the conversation grows. See you next time on Third Side Convo. It's in the peanut gallery. They're gonna, and Joe Boy wants to comment.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know why I'm freezing up. Wow.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry, I was.
Boy, do I have a lot. Ready.
He's been taking notes. Got stuff to jump in on.
Well, let me help the Zoom people get in first. But oh my gosh, what is wrong? Y'all have an opportunity to say what the other side is doing crazy, and you all just be quiet and go, oh, nothing, I don't know.
I'm going to be able to I can only stay on for about 10 minutes, so.
Okay,
then I'm going to say one thing, okay? First off, it was not a memorial. There are rainbow crosswalks all over the country. They're all not memorializing an incident that happened in Orlando. That crosswalk is a advertisement, a promotion of the letter people. And they want to make sure to put those rainbow symbols everywhere they can. And they have the right to try, but not on our roadways. If they want to paint the sidewalk, paint the sidewalk. If they want to paint the building, instead of it being gray, paint it rainbow. How about not steal all the money from the foundation and give it to the families? But no, we want to sit there and keep painting a thing over and over again and saying it's a memorial. It's not a memorial. Oh my gosh.
All right, that was a good opening start. So you basically say you agree with Zach, Joe Boy, is what it sounds like. The two of y'all are compadres.
I just got an email that says Joe Boy's unbearable.
Yeah, you got to make sure to save the stars for the after show when Joe Boy comes on. I'd actually like him to get the most stars, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I was thinking of it as like a marketing scheme too, that our government is using tax dollars and whatever else for influence to shove this stuff down our throat. And on top of that, like, with the whole alphabet thing that we were talking about, I wanted to talk a little bit more about, I'm looking at this list here, drag story hour and trans people and all that kind of stuff. I think we touched on that, but we didn't actually dig into that.
No.
I felt like we changed the topic and
yeah, we can't seem to get anywhere where there was meat and potatoes instead of going, oh, well, no. Okay, it is an issue. It's not just one or two people. We are encouraging to have people inside your center library dressed in drag teaching kids it's okay to be this way. You should look into it. And that's the whole point, is you're teaching second, third, and 4-year-olds this is normal. And if you think it's not normal, then you're a homophobe.
We also have clowns in the library. We have a lot of people dressed weird in the library. We have people show up in like little fuzzy bear outfits. It's like it's not a thing, man. It's like for little kids, drag queens are just one more big old clown reading them a story.
Why aren't drag queens reading?
If Caitlyn Jenner was a Democrat, y'all would lose your freaking mind.
How to read, man.
Then why are the only stories they want to read are stories that say, hey, you should look into this. You should be like me.
Where are you getting that from? Joe Boy, where are you getting that from? Where are you getting that from?
Grab a list of the books they read. Just grab a list. And you'll see. They're not reading Red Riding Hood. They're not reading basic stories.
This would drive me crazy.
Dark, by the way.
This would drive me crazy about the Republicans. If Caitlyn Jenner was a Democrat, y'all be losing your minds because Caitlyn Jenner is a Republican. You don't say nothing.
Okay. Wow.
Caitlyn Jenner, you don't say nothing about her. I don't hear nothing about her. But if she was a Democrat, it'd be, oh my God, we got to get rid of her because she's a Republican and a Trump supporter. Oh, I said it.
No, that's okay.
In addition to what Joe Boy was saying, when you look at somebody who dresses like a woman and is a biological man, that says a lot about what their intentions might be. Because for you to deny the very foundation, the fundamental part of yourself, of what your gender is, it says that you can lie about anything because your life is you're living a lie. And how can you be trusted with children? Why do they target children? They're not targeting any other age group.
Because again, to my point, most adults know how to read. So why would they be reading to somebody else? But I think the point that, you read books when you were a little kid. You read all sorts of books. You read books about pirates, and you read books about cowboys and Indians, and you read books about, as you got older, you read books about murder and all sorts of different things. Did you go out and become any of those things? No. Even positive things. You still became you. You still who you are. It's like the idea that those books are going to make that kind of an influence is, again, it's just a specious argument.
Well, Bill Russell looks really happy. I think he can't wait to jump in.
Hang on, but all of the things about people who are like the people who are predators for children, go check out the Catholic Church, man. Spend some time with the Boy Scouts. Predators go where they can blend in.
I think you're royally wrong there, Stacia. But anyway,
where? What do you mean royally wrong? Where? Catholic Church or the Boy Scouts?
The Catholic Church and Boy Scouts. Yes, there are some problems, but it's nowhere near to the level of what we see with these drag story hours. There's been a lot of very disturbing behavior with these drag story hours.
Bill, there are
there ain't no such
zero reported cases of any kind of things like that with drag stories in libraries.
No.
Oh,
I'm not talking about.
That's totally.
You got the biggest scandal going on.
Things. But there is a lot of there have been a lot of reports of very disturbing behavior at these drag queen story hours, in addition to the types of books they're reading. And this is a concerted effort to indoctrinate children, to make them think this is an acceptable thing. It is a grooming process for children. Now, I'm not going to defend any abuse of children in either of the organizations, but there's always a go-to. For example, discussing the Catholic Church, is always go to in discussing the Boy Scouts, because these were big public organizations that that had a significant failure with regard to child abuse.
Hey,
issues.
Bill,
I'll agree, but it's not as bad as
Bill.
But it is not the norm.
Bill, let me ask you. I want to ask Bill one question. Wouldn't you find the incidence of behavior like this is highest in any organization that works with kids? Because think about youth coaches. Major issues in youth coaches, right? The priests. Yeah. So it's anything that would draw a predator. It's statistically is all I'm saying.
And who are those predators? Who are they most?
And when you get into the abuse of children, particularly when you look, if you want to talk about religions, I can tell you that from my experience in the Middle East, what I saw in the Muslim world, where the sexual abuse of children is the norm. Everything from child brides to the sexual abuse of boys. Anybody who's been over there has recognized that and seen that.
Okay, so
and
I know you all think that the books don't
an
matter.
Part of the culture.
You all said the books don't matter, so here you go. The hips on the drag queen go swish. Not all princesses dress in pink. Heather has two mommies. My princess boy. Every single one of these is only promoting. Let's get them interested in looking at the opposite sex and acting like them.
Okay.
Tough guys have feelings too. Brown bear, what do you see? That's an oldie but a goodie. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. Don't touch my hair, which is an important one. Come on.
Stacia, can I ask a question? I've got to ask a question to you now. Can you understand where parents would be concerned about possibly not wanting them to view this stuff?
I can understand why parents could be concerned about somebody not wanting somebody to go to a drag show. They have every right to say no to that. They do not have every right to say that nobody else can send their kid to a drag show.
Okay, I got it. Well, but that's a fair point. No. But Stacia, you understand that parents generally want to know about that type thing, and having it in a public library may not be what they want. Okay.
But again, it's in a public library. The list is right here. Joe Boy and I just pulled up the same list just like that.
Okay, so we're basically agreeing. You understand why they wouldn't want and they can opt out, but you also understand why they'd rather it not be in a public library. How's that? Fair enough?
Say that again?
I said you can understand why they might have a concern that that type of thing is going on in a public library, and yet you are saying that, they don't have to necessarily go there. But you understand where the parents actually could think that, right? That they don't want their kids, that this should not be part of a public library. Okay?
Yeah, I could understand why any parent would not want their child to do anything.
Okay. That's enough. But that's really the difference here. It's the bottom line between this issue. Zach, doesn't want his kids going there. He'd rather it not be a public library even putting on something like that. That's all.
By the way, Stacia got the most stars. Stacia got 8 stars. Jeff Barrett comes in with 6. We got Zach with 5, and Don Thomas with 4. And believe it or not, he's tied with Bob. Bob is not on the screen, but he actually has 4 stars. I don't know who gave Bob 4 stars.
Bob shouldn't have had any stars.
I don't know how Bob got 4 stars.
It was so funny. That's what we were trying to do in the show, was to get into those type issues. Like the girls, the boys in the girls' bathroom type issue. And nobody touched it. We had climate change out there was an issue, because I know that the left thinks the right is insane that they don't believe in climate change, right? So those were the issues I wanted brought up, and we got sidetracked.
Yeah, there was a guy. He had a big crane, and he made the chart go off, and we were all going to be dead by 2014, I think, right?
Well, there's a lot of people who are dead.
Swim. I'm under the water, right?
2 more minutes, and then I got a bolt, guys. But I would say that I think that it does help, though, Bob, when it's like when you're throwing the things out, because I feel like a little bit like I'm struggling. There's so many things that I think people are nuts about. And some of them I absolutely agree with. Like somebody mentioned earlier, the thing about like the him, the she, hers. When somebody asks me what my pronouns are, I say take your best guess. I don't care.
Right.
Take your best guess.
Let me say this to Joe Boy. Joe Boy, there are a lot of people that are deadbeats that the climate can change that hasn't changed.
Hold on, you just
interrupted Stacia. Stacia's talking, and you decide Stacia don't matter. Okay, you know what, Stacia?
She was finished.
Full screen. There you go, Stacia.
Had to jump in. But no, I do think that there is, and that is something, because the whole thing with the culture wars, with the identity politics, where it's more important, what you are as opposed to what you think, and whatever you are determines everything else about your life. And I do think that is absolute lunacy. I think it's incredible detriment to our community, to our life, to everything. But again, that kind of goes back to why I'm still kind of on the right.
I know you are. I know.
On the left that
I can't wait. After this administration, maybe we'll get you back on the other side. Get you on the other side, because I could use a really good female on the right also.
Well,
who you want to have sex with shouldn't matter with politics. I don't care who you want to have sex with. Have sex with who you want. Stop telling me about it, and stop making it important for us to function.
What?
I think I will agree with that. I will agree with that when the moment after nobody gets upset about the idea of a gay former Secretary of Transportation being considered a candidate for president.
For what?
Well, it's just because he was an idiot, not because he's gay.
I get Buttigieg, so I was trying to avoid saying the name. But
because someone is gay, they should get a free pass for everything else?
No, but nobody should be bringing it up. It's like if the day after he puts his name in the ring and not one person says anything about his husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'm back in. I totally agree.
Hey, we're almost there.
Are they not talking about other people's wives?
Well, they do.
They do, right? They talk about other people's wives, right?
And that's usually shot down pretty quickly.
Well, what you're saying is
by most everybody. Everybody's very quick to say,
no,
leave my wife alone.
Hey, Stacia, it really all depends on whether the comment about them being a gay politician is that a derogative statement. It isn't necessary. It isn't anymore. Back in the day,
if it's used as a reason why they shouldn't run or why they couldn't win.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing.
No. Bill would probably,
Okay, first off, Zach, did you have fun?
Jeez.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I enjoyed it.
He didn't talk that much. He didn't talk that much, and the timers did not work for some reason. I don't know what happened. I got to talk to Bob and find out what happened.
Well, it's because
Bill Russell, did you have fun? Bill Russell's very silent. Did you have fun, Bill Russell?
Oh.
Well, yeah, he certainly probably got mad at times.
Is Joe on there?
I gotta go, guys.
Take care. Bye, Stacia.
Hey, Joe, you on there?
Bye.
Jeff Berg, did you have fun?
There. Oh, hell yeah, always.
Hey, Joe, my friend Joe is supposed to be on there. Is he on there?
There was a Joe on there for about 15 seconds, and then he logged off. And there was a Larry Stevens on there.
You're an idiot.
No way. Larry's on there? Oh, my God. Hey,
who says I'm an idiot?
Larry, we are trying. Let me tell you.
He said Joe Boy is unbearable.
Yeah. He can be. He can be. All right. Oh gosh, was Larry coming on or not?
Larry is muted and has no video.
Oh.
I'm going to give Larry 15 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, maybe 2 seconds. No, he's not talking. So maybe we'll just talk to Bill Russell more. Stacia's gone. We can keep talking.
So yeah, I mean, Bill, Bill back on the screen or what?
I try to get him on the screen, but every time I go down the screen, after about 2 minutes, his screen goes. He's got a really crappy camera.
Hey, well, there is one topic, Bob, that I didn't say. That
there's Bill.
The left, the right is crazy about history.
History? Are you talking about the getting rid of certain parts of history?
Yes. Mm.
Okay, right, and I don't.
That's another topic.
Okay. Yeah, well, you could talk about that. Zach, would you answer that question of, do you see that the right is painted with the brush that they want to eliminate history?
No, I would say it's the opposite, man. And they've been tearing down statues and stuff like that in the last 6 years.
Okay. Don, what's your answer to that? Should those statues have been torn down?
Yes, it has been torn down. Yes, they should put in the museum where they belong. You know?
All right.
And,
yeah, they're not putting them in museums; they're tearing them down.
Yeah. Well, but it's.
Well, I mean,
still,
they're tearing them down.
They're destroying them.
You wouldn't have. Okay, I'm asking you a question. Would you have a Black Panther Huey Newton statue in the middle of the Capitol? Would you be against that?
No.
Directed to me.
I would
directly on the guys on the right.
It was a different time.
No,
did you vote for it? Did you offer to pay for it? Did you raise the money in capital? Did you apply for a permit? No.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Would you have somebody, a Huey Newton, who was arrested, was criminalized for a Black Panther or somebody else that a weapon had been in jail, all that stuff, who's been against the United States? Would you have a statue? If they made a statue for him and put it in public view, would you guys allow that on the right?
I think that misses the point, because it
doesn't matter if somebody's against the United States or
no. It's a process to get something up. There's a process.
But if they had it, would you be against it?
Well, I think where we're missing.
I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say, as a white person, or a person or a different color, or somebody that you saw that was against your race or that gave you depression or gave you a way to be angry, a way to be like that, and you erect a statue with them, was supposed to be in public view, where I have to walk by it every day to go to court or something, and there's a statue of a racist person in my view going to work, would you be against it?
Well, hey, Bill, you want to answer that?
I was gonna argue. I was gonna address the issue, because there was a philosophical difference between those who fought for the Confederacy and the view of the country.
There is no difference.
Let me finish, Don. There is a philosophical difference between that and what the Black Panthers promoted. The Black Panthers were a very militant organization who sought the destruction of not just separation, but the destruction of the United States. Those who fought with the Confederacy at the time, and from the founding of our nation, the United States was a united country of originally 13 different colonies. Each had their own constitution. All power was vested in the states. A major portion of the fight between the Confederacy and the Union was over the issue of whether government should reside in the states, or if the federal government had the right to tell the people of each state what to do. Now, there were 2 slave states that remained in the Union. There were, of course, most all the Confederate states that seceded were slave states. But the vast majority of people in the South, only 3% were slave owners, and the vast majority of the people who fought in the Civil War on the part of the South were not fighting to keep slavery. They were fighting for states' rights. Slavery was a huge issue, but there's a distinct difference between most of the Confederate generals, most of whom were against slavery, even if they happened to inherit slaves, as Robert E. Lee did. He was very much against it. Was trying to figure out how to properly dispose of his slaves and to divest them and to give them their freedom. They felt hampered by the issue.
Hey, Bill. Anyway, Bill, let me ask. Hold on.
Fighting for their states.
Hold on. I want to try something. No, Don, give me 1 sec. Bill, do you understand why blacks view any honoring of the Confederacy as being a bad thing? Can you understand that, where they could feel that? Okay, that's it. But that's the bottom line of this thing. Okay, Don, you feel that the Confederacy, look, my great-grandfather fought in the, not Confederacy, Civil War, fought in the Civil War. I'm not going to dishonor him in any way. I am honored by his service. Now, I can't help that any image of the Confederacy is a racist issue to you. But it isn't. It isn't to everybody else. It isn't to everybody else.
Like I said, put it in a museum.
Okay.
But not put it in the museum. If I want to go look at it, I can go look at it. But don't have it in my face when I go pay for a ticket or anything else.
Hey,
put
Don.
it in the museum
Don, we understand. We understand what you're saying, and you should understand what Bill is saying. Okay.
I understand what Bill's saying. But to make a point, what Bill's saying is, if you go about it, what he's saying is by the Confederacy, you know, there was a law. If you were even you ever seen the movie Glory?
Oh yeah, love that movie.
Yeah,
it was the movie Glory. So you know there was a decree by the Confederates that if anybody was associated or commanded a black regiment, was automatically put to death.
Yeah.
It wasn't no anything like that. They had slaves in if you had a black person in your regiment or you was in charge of the black regiment, it was automatically a death sentence for you. Kill them. So that's what I'm saying. That's the part where the Confederacy. So that was all the Confederacy people. So that's why we don't like having. We don't like. That's one of the reasons we don't like having the Confederate honored in our area.
But you have to keep in mind, Don, when you look at the Confederacy. And I mean, you had the black regiments, the 54th Massachusetts. Glory is a great movie. I highly recommend it to everybody. But it's also unknown that there were 50,000 free black men who fought on the side of the Confederacy. And you didn't have black regiments, they were actually integrated into the units that they fought with. There's a couple of good books on them called Forgotten Confederates. So there, you know, it was a very, very it was a different time, and comparing them to, you know, and why I disagree with you on comparing them to the Black Panthers is there was a very, very solely racial part of the Black Panthers doctrines and
they were fighting for black people.
But the Confederacy the Confederacy and the Civil War was a very, very complicated issue. It ended slavery finally, and it settled the issue of, you know, what kind of country we're going to be. But it was a lot more complicated, and the vast majority of many I shouldn't say the vast majority, but many of the soldiers who fought on the side of the Confederacy ended up rejoining the American Army after the war and fought in the Indian Wars in the West.
Right, they did. Of course.
So it was very, very complicated, but dishonoring and suddenly going back and tearing down what was a movement towards reconciliation, bringing, you know, the South back into the fold, honoring those who fought bravely on both sides, and bringing us back and uniting us as one country was the main thing. And going back and tearing down these statues now in the current day is very detrimental to our country. And try to erase that part of the history and erase the memory of some people who there were some very good and honorable people.
Well, and Don and Bill
Lee among them.
Hey, Bill, nobody thinks the same way about Don. Wait, I just nobody thinks the same way about everything. Don's got a different perspective on it, and it's a reasonable perspective. Civil War has gotten to be all about race. We know it was not all about race, but that's the way it's looked at in history. So, Zach, any last topics you want to throw out before we end this thing? So you can see what we can do. We can discuss topics pretty well, so go.
Well, one thing that caught my attention was the list you sent me, number 9, police are the problem, not criminals. And that tends to be like on the left, right? But I'm an activist. I'm a First Amendment activist. I have a channel that has over 80,000 subscribers called Liberty Troll. And what I do is I hold our government accountable by promoting transparency and accountability within our government by going to like city halls or going to DMVs. I actually went to a DMV yesterday. Let me just tell you the story real quick. I'll give you the short version. So I went into a DMV with a camera. So I was exercising freedom of press rights under the First Amendment. And basically, they have an unconstitutional ordinance, and this is in Pasco County, where if you are recording inside of a DMV and there's a sign that says no recording and they call the police and they want to trespass you, then the officers or sheriff's office or whoever, law enforcement basically can come over and violate your rights, even though you have a constitutional right to exercise your freedom of press inside of a public building in a public space. And so I was doing that. And what ended up happening was law enforcement violated my rights. And this is not the first time it's happened. This happens almost every single time where they defend the thin blue line. Our public servants that are supposed to protect our rights are, enforcing feelings instead of the law. So I find actually, there's a lot of problems in law enforcement. And I would say a lot of your supposed criminals, they're getting locked up. They're getting in trouble for things that don't have a victim. They're victimless crimes. And there's a lot of people that are suffering, a lot of people that are sitting in jail, a lot of tax dollars being thrown at law enforcement to go, like they sent over 6 officers yesterday when I was at a DMV on me, a man with a camera, a law-abiding citizen, only because I had a camera. They sent 6 officers out there. That's a lot of taxpayer money being wasted. It shows that they really have nothing else better to do than to harass law-abiding citizens.
Wow. Well, that's kind of like, Zach, what just happened in England, the Irish guy, right? He gets back to the UK, and they have 5 officers there to arrest him for some tweets that he made in the States. A comedian, an Irish comedian. Jeff, I don't know if you saw that yet. Amazing. He tweeted while he was here, and they were ready for him when he arrived and arrested him and threw him in jail. Apparently, his blood pressure went up to like 200. I mean, it was bad. He was really upset by it. Yeah, Zach, that is great, and we'll get you on again. And this one was I knew it was going to be a little. Well, I didn't know it was going to be like that. The funny thing is, Zach, I never know. We just bring people on, they talk, we get a little bit of agreement. Even Don understands, at least now, why people would not view things the way he does, and we understand why Don views the way he does. That's all you can do sometimes. We can't always, we're never going to find total agreement. What I try to find total agreement, but I find better understanding. Wait, Don, the last topic. Are they going to be able to beat the Eagles tonight? Okay, the Cowboys-Eagos tonight, right?
It's going to be a tough call, man, because, we might be able to be, if they give the Eagles their rings, if they have a ring ceremony and all that stuff before the game, a lot of times the teams get distracted.
Okay, so
Dallas needs all the distraction they can get their hands on.
Yeah, Dallas is going to sneak up on them tonight. So, all right.
Yeah, sneak up on them tonight. Hey, that's where we agree. It's football season now. It's going to be friendly.
We don't worry about the other stuff. Hey, thanks, Zach.
Everybody
thanks,
gets along in football games.
And thanks,
everybody.
Bill.
We all won.
Please.
Hey, look, you guys.
Okay. I know we've given you something to comment on this show, okay? There's got to be something that you got to comment on, even how idiotic it is at times. It doesn't matter. But we're bringing up ideas. We're trying to talk about things. We're trying to get together. So please subscribe. Go on YouTube. Go on thirdsideconvo.com. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Third Side Convo.